We're gonna talk about romance. We're gonna get some romance on Amazon. You wanna get some romance on Amazon? You wanna get into Walmart? You wanna get in Target? What you wanna do?
I want to get the candies.
Let's get the candies.
And I
Wanna get the candies?
I want a chocolate.
Oh my god.
And get some flowers.
Oh my god.
Oh, and then we'll get some fancy jewelry.
Oh my god.
And it'll make everybody happy.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah.
Hello.
Hi.
Welcome to another episode of the Itchy Sweater Podcast.
Yeah.
We are your humble servants, St. Augustine and St. Valentine.
Oh.
Yeah, that's right. We're saints today.
The way we act and on these episodes, I don't know about that, bud.
Well, just for today.
Oh, okay.
So, I know you love your wife. And the reason I know you love your wife is because I offered you over $1 trillion to kill your wife, and you said you gave me a bunch of stipulations. You're like, "Oh, can I have a mistress and kill her? Can I, find somebody else to do it? I don't know. No, I'm not gonna do it." So I know you love your wife.
I do. Very
Absolutely.
much do.
And I love my partners as well. And today we're gonna talk about love,
Let's talk about love.
but not just love. We're gonna talk about Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
And not just Valentine's Day, we're going to talk about the true origins of Valentine's Day.
I'm very curious about this. I really am.
Yeah. Now, there's a lot of different videos and articles on Valentine's Day. There are some things that go a little deeper than others. There are some videos that kind of hit surface level. You sent me an article a little while ago, and that one goes very deep, and I liked it. But at the same time, I think it would be cool to do like a little video format.
Okay.
And then have someone kind of discuss some of the origins of Valentine's Day, and then we discuss those as well.
Our thoughts and
prayers.
Prayers and all that.
Exactly. So, Valentine's Day as a day, is that something that you're really into at all? Do you really touch on it, celebrate it, do anything? Does Kayla want things on Valentine's Day? Or is she the type of person who says, I don't want things, but does want things?
Okay. Yes, Kayla wants things on Valentine's Day, but there's a reason. Mm-hmm. That is her birthday.
Oh, that's right. You said that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's my dad's birthday as well.
Yes.
Yep. So this is
but-
it's like kind of a flip flop.
Yeah. But she doesn't want. It's hard to say because when we first got together, I would go get her stuff like. She really liked the big like chain dangly purses and stuff back in the day, like the gaudy like flashy purses and stuff. So me being me, I was like, oh well, Bass Pro's got cool purses. I went there and I got her a nice one. It had camo on it. I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. I think she'll like it. I would do that. Or there was one time where I got her like everything she liked, like her favorite snack, her favorite food, her favorite drinks. And I kind of put it on the table. And then when she got there, she's like, oh my God. But really, she's not a give me Valentine's Day person.
Okay.
She's give me, she was give me stuff for my birthday person. Now she's like, I just want to spend time with the family and I don't really care what I get.
Makes sense.
Kind of person.
So. Yeah. Okay. That's cool. My partners are a little bit more whatever about it. It's my dad's birthday, so obviously my dad doesn't live here, but it's a little different. So, but my partners don't really care when it comes to Valentine's Day things. Like if we want to do something for Valentine's Day, then we'll sure, it's not a big deal. But it's whatever. It doesn't really matter. But, yeah. So that's kind of how we are on about it. But let us discuss, and this lovely gentleman will talk to us about the as he says, the messed up origins of Valentine's Day. You excited?
Yeah. Now, before you do it,
Mm-hmm.
what are your thoughts on Valentine's Day?
My thoughts on Valentine's Day is just kind of meh. Like, I think it's just it's like most holidays. It's just a holiday where people can spend money, and
So it's a
consumer holiday.
controlled holiday.
Yeah.
Just like, Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas have all become Cinco de Mayo, which Mexicans don't even celebrate.
It just literally means 5th of May.
Yeah. Shit, even 4th of July, like everything's come so consumer based. I feel like most holidays are kind of out of touch with what they actually used to be.
Oh, for sure. And even with that, like, there's a lot of holidays that have pagan origins, and that we've even watered down from that. Because obviously we're not, like, sacrificing virgins or anything like that.
Well, I mean, Halloween was...
Even Halloween, yeah. Halloween's big.
Pretty
like, it's
insane.
Like, yeah, big time into paganism and witchcraft and stuff like that. So it's
And now it's
just dress up, get candy.
Yeah.
It's like...
It's pretty insane.
And even 4th of July, like, I remember going, maybe it was just the kid in me, I'm not sure, but I remember when I was younger, even to my teenage years, like, we would go downtown Indianapolis and they had the fireworks show. And I remember the fireworks, like, the first few years I remember seeing them, they were, like, it was wild. Like, the firework display had all these crazy shapes and colors and all kind of stuff like that. And then the last one I went to before I moved was very mid. It, like, you had the music playing, but it was just, it was like, it wasn't that big of a deal.
I want to say growing up, I don't really remember before we moved to Merced, but once we got to Merced...
Shout out Merced.
No, don't do that. Don't shout out. Stop that right now. We don't shout them out. They put themselves in their own situation.
That's true.
I mean, yeah, you would see all the sparklers and stuff, the little ones that you light and they spin real fast on the ground.
And like the pop.
The
things.
poppers.
Yeah.
A lot of the sparklers, stuff like that.
Yeah.
You'd see a lot of those.
Roman candles.
Yeah, unless you went to, I think the fairgrounds had a display, and then you would have all your people doing them illegally.
Yeah.
Around the town, but when we got back to Mariposa,
shout out Mariposa. You gotta shout out Mariposa.
It never gets old. When we got there was a few years where they were still doing it. They were doing the fireworks shows. It ended up getting to the point where it was so dry out there that they weren't doing it.
Oh, understandably so.
And they ended up doing, what was it? We didn't go to it, but
it was like in August or something, or September.
No, they ended up doing a laser show.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so the next best place to go was Bass Lake, which is over in Oakhurst.
I love Bass Lake and Oakhurst.
And they would do it off this random little island that was in the middle of the lake. So, I mean, not big.
Oh, that's cool.
It was right there in the middle. Everybody watched it. It was cool. Not too close to the shores or anything. They ended up doing laser shows and drone shows out there instead of fireworks. And nobody likes them.
Can you imagine coming, like just being on the water and not being aware of that? And then you just see, like, a laser show on the island.
You're like, what the hell is going on? It's Star Wars.
It's happening.
What are we doing here?
Honey, get the guns.
Get the guns. Shoot them.
They take it over.
That guy on Swamp People.
Yeah.
Shoot him, Elizabeth. Shoot him. Shoot him. Which is funny because a lot of the people that go out there on their boats there are like that guy.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Absolutely.
What in God's name is that?
Those Florida Gators, gator hunters, and those Mississippi boat.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's stuff's wild.
Fan boat people, baby.
Oh, yeah. But anyway, we would listen to this video about the so-called messed up origins of Valentine's Day, and then we will give our take on it, because obviously our take is the only one that really matters. This guy doesn't matter. No. And
John Solo is just providing us information.
He's just John Solo. He's giving us just what his he's even got merch. He's got a Solo cup.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it's
pretty cool.
That's infringement, isn't it? Or brand infringement? That looks like the same.
Maybe. We won't report him this time. We'll get to him next time. When Liquid Death sponsors us, then we're going to go after people for copyright infringement.
Shout out
Liquid Death. So when we get that Liquid Death money, then we're going to take people out we're going to take these people like this out. Man. His days are numbered. You understand me?
As much as Liquid Death hates us, we shout them out a lot.
I wish they even knew about it. We were completely irrelevant to Liquid Death. They don't even know about us.
Who?
Yeah.
Who are these peons?
If anything, we're giving them free advertisement.
We really are. Lucky.
Murder your thirst for free. But John Solo will explain to us the messed up origins of Valentine's Day.
Give it, Mr. Solo.
Now, the messed up origins of Valentine's Day. So what Roman tradition is Valentine's Day supposedly inspired by? A certain festival held every year called Lupercalia, also known as Dies Februatis, which means the purification. It's also where we get the name of February. Lupercalia was a day to honor Lupercus, the god of fertility, and I can already see the connections forming in your brain. You think that because Lupercalia honored a fertility god, that its evolution to a romantic holiday where tons of babies are made seems pretty reasonable. But stay with me, because originally the fertility that Lupercal presided over only applied to livestock. Yeah, this was a festival for shepherds, not lovers. It took place every year on February 14th in the Lupercal, a cave where Romulus and Remus, the founders of Rome, were nurtured by the she-wolf and watched over by the god Lupercus.
Now, I want to say something. A lot of this is kind of my first watch through of this video, and at first I thought he was talking about like how sheep herders would like make love to their livestock. That's kind of where I thought.
Wow.
I thought that's where he was going with it, but that's not where he was going with it.
That's definitely not where I was thinking it was going.
Now, the funny thing about these holidays, a lot of these holidays, is it's usually coming from a society that had multiple gods, and it's always been kind of weird to me how any other religion, like whether it's Christianity, Buddhism, or Catholicism, stuff like that, it's kind of funny how they pick up on these holidays and even to a degree use the holidays for a sermon sometimes. Like they'll even use the holiday like as to like further a point that was being driven home, which I get. But it's always kind of funny because it's like, you know, Google to an extent is free.
To an extent,
and I
for
feel
sure.
like if I was a preacher of any religion, I probably wouldn't bring up a pagan religion when I'm trying to talk about one true God, if that was my
Very true
thing. And it's also funny too. A lot of these have origins of like little was it cherubs or babies, and these two babies are like in this cave with this big ass wolf, and it's like these are very interesting stories.
what was the dude's name? Lupercus.
Lupercus.
It's Looper.
The god Lupercus.
I honestly thought he was saying Luber. Because I'm like, where am I? What am I thinking of right now?
It's like when people say Tupperware and it's Tupperware.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking, okay, maybe that's where they got like Lubriderm or lube or whatever was because of the god. And I'm trying to figure out, because it's got the romantic holiday, and I'm trying to pinpoint everything together.
Yeah.
This is not working well for me.
It's all good. Let's continue about the god Lupercus.
People would gather there to sacrifice goats and young dogs to Lupercus, animals that were known for their fertility, and in exchange, their livestock would be blessed with a fertile season.
I feel like I would use rabbits.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if those were plentiful in Rome at the time, but if I'm thinking about fertility, I'm thinking about
You're thinking about rabbits.
Rabbits.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the way they multiply, or cockroaches. Any cockroaches in Rome? Do you think there's any cockroaches in Rome? Are they bigger or
I'm going to say no.
No cockroaches in Rome. Wow, we need to go to Rome.
None.
After the sacrifices were all made, 2 young men would be led to the vat of animal blood where they touched their foreheads with a sword that was dipped in the blood, after which the men were supposed to burst out laughing, though we're not sure why.
Wait, what?
I don't like that.
Hold on, what?
I don't like that we're not sure why.
What did that just say?
They take after the sacrifice was made, they take a sword, dip the sword in the blood, they tap the blood to their forehead, and after they tap the blood to their forehead, they're supposed to burst out laughing. He said we're not sure why. That makes me more uncomfortable that we don't know why.
The fuck?
The fact that we don't know why.
But
why don't we know? Why don't we know? The tradition is tradition. It's a ritual. They do the thing. But why are they laughing?
Exactly. No, I'm not. Get it.
tasty. Burst out laughing. And I won't tell you why.
So that coffee bean does too.
Yeah, so it does.
No, I'm my main concern is okay. Yeah, it's the ritual. Rituals, by all means, whatever you're gonna do them. Okay, I get it. You sacrifice something in the ritual. It happens. But to tap the sword on your forehead after you've dipped it in blood and immediately burst out laughing. That's where I'm like, wait a minute, what the hell are we doing now?
We need more research on that.
What does this have to do with the fact that Valentine's Day is a loving day or a loving holiday?
That's what he's saying.
Freaking me out,
man. This is what he's saying. It's the messed up origins, man. We've been lied to.
I don't get this.
We've been lied to.
Another common festival tradition outside of copious amounts of binging on food and alcohol was half-naked men draping themselves in the skin of these sacrificed animals to mirror the god Lupercus's appearance, and using strips of animal skin to whack passers-by. Not something
Whack? Where are we whacking? Are we slapping people? What?
Just hitting citizens.
Hey, look, I just killed this.
With animal skins.
This, what did we say? What animal were we sacrificing?
Goats.
Goats.
Yeah.
I just killed this goat. Let me smack you with it.
Smacking people with
Randomly smacking people?
I feel like there was blood everywhere because
There had to be.
they're not cleaning these animals like we clean them today.
No.
So if they were skinning them and then using some of the blood and they take the skin off, they're not like just the skin. Like you're getting some meat, you're getting some veins, you're getting tendons, you're getting all this stuff. So they're slapping people with these meats.
When they say messed up origins, this is pretty nasty.
So they're slapping people with
What
these
the
skins.
hell?
And I'm sure blood is everywhere.
All over the streets.
All over the streets. And people's faces and people's clothes and people's bodies.
Like,
little kids.
I'm honored to be smacked in the face by your sacrifice.
For God Lupercus.
What the hell? I think if we did that nowadays, we would just do that to get back at people. Like, that son of a bitch still owes me $5.
Yep.
In the name of Lupercus. Wow. Oh, he only did it because of the holiday.
Exactly. It's Valentine's Day.
Jesus
Get over it. Big meaty men slapping meats.
Big meaty men slapping meats. Good old Big E.
Shout out Big E. I want big men with big chests. Bumping meats.
Bumping meats. Slapping each other.
Big meaty men slapping meats. Okay.
I would want to be on the receiving end of, but apparently, as time went on, it became tradition for women hoping to have children to volunteer to be whacked, as they believed it was childbearing.
I love the fact that they said these women often were the ones that wanted to be hit
me
with these things.
Hit me, baby.
He's like, hey, that goat, man, if I get hit by that goat,
that's what it was about.
I'm going to find love.
That's what it was about.
So, in sense, hitting a woman is going to find her love.
You know, that's a similar thing that they do in one country. I cannot remember what country it is, but there's a country where the women, like all the women who are now like aged to be married, they'll get in a circle, and then the men will whip them as like a sign of their like resilience and how bad they want to be married to any
and
given man.
They'll show how much they can withstand.
Yeah,
and all
stuff
that.
like that.
That's
so
weird.
Hey, tradition's bad. Hey, this is weird. It's all. Hey, it's all weird, buddy. We're all just living a life.
Apparently, I think people back in these times were pretty nuts. Not gonna lie, like. This ancient Rome and ancient history stuff, these guys were pretty damn crazy.
Hey, you're the one going to the market for your meats.
That's right, I am. I am. They think that's crazy. You're riding around in that fancy
riding around in
thing.
vehicles. We're over here slapping people with goats. You call us crazy? And you're in a plane?
Flying. Blasphemy.
Easier. Just imagine if that belief was still commonly held to this day. Your first day of Lamaze class would feel like a hazing ritual. As you can see though, Lupercal doesn't have a whole lot in common with the modern conception of Valentine's Day, and if it did, I don't think it'd be considered a romantic holiday. By the way, did you notice it didn't even incorporate Cupid, the Roman god of love, or doves, which have somehow gone on to become Valentine's icons in modern times? Interesting, right? So tell me, how did we get from this to this?
Capitalism.
Yeah. That's very interesting. Cupid was not mentioned at all.
Not at all. Yep. So we got here by money.
Money.
They wanted to capitalize off you. Hey, this is a holiday.
that we can have people spend money on. It's like
Yeah.
holidays, like we can like incorporate love.
Yeah.
We can say it's about love and good stuff like that. I'm gonna get my evil voice on with my white cat. I'm petting my white cat. We can say it's about love. You want to say it's about love? We can say it's about love. We can get some incorporation here. We can get some money. You want to get some of this money? We can get some of this money. We can give it to Walmart. We can give it to Kmart. We can give it to Target. We can give it to ourselves. You want some money? Let's put some products on Amazon. You want people to buy some stuff on Amazon? I know I do. You want to buy it? Do you want to buy it? I don't want to buy it. They're gonna buy it.
I'm at a loss of words. I can't do it.
That's capitalism. In a nutshell, that's all of it.
Damn it. Capitalism got me. Those fuckers.
Well, some scholars say Christian influence, but while I'm no history expert, when it comes to physical evidence that supports their theory, there's about as much of that as there is evidence that I'm secretly JoJo Siwa.
Now, you're not a Christian scholar or or an intellectual.
I don't think he's a
JoJo Siwa.
yeah, whatever that is.
I don't even know who that is.
I don't either.
He's going to show us JoJo Siwa.
Is this a TikTok thing?
Maybe, probably.
Who
Probably.
this is.
But I will say this. Anytime someone with no credentials doubts scholars, I'll go, take it easy, buddy.
Yeah.
But I
what
will
is
say
your
this.
field of work?
Yeah, I know. I will say this. I think there's some religious influence, whether it be Christian, whether it be Catholic, whether it be whatever.
There's always
There's
gonna
always
be
some
that
Christian
little
influence.
bit of influence
Yeah,
somewhere.
I think it is mostly going to be consumerism. But
By all means, yeah.
But let's see what JoJo says, or not JoJo. I'm sorry,
Mr.
John Solo.
Han Solo.
He got freaking the JoJo name in my head.
Damn you, Siwa.
Genuinely very excited about glasses. I'm actually so scared. Like I was saying, I'm so happy right now.
What do you mean you don't see it?
What? Okay.
Appropriation. Here we go.
One phenomenon that we've been discussing maybe a little too much lately is the Christianization of pagan holidays. For those who don't know, as Christianity began its domination of the planet, the official church would often absorb and repurpose any pagan traditions that it couldn't get its recently converted, formerly pagan worshippers to give up. By doing this,
That makes sense, because if you wanted to ease people into a religion that you practice and they're coming from pagan holidays, you want to probably incorporate some of those pagan, the
rituals
practices.
and all that.
Yeah. So then you can kind of ease them into it and not go, hey, everything that you used to believe, fuck it. It's no longer
Don't
a
even
thing.
think about any of
Yeah,
it.
and
Let's
if you
start
even
fresh.
think about it, we'll probably throw you to the wolves.
Exactly.
So they're kind of easing them in, getting them, adjusted.
And then when they're comfortable, you strike.
And then when they strike you for you strike, and you slap them with animal meat.
Slap them with goats.
they made it
Bloody
easier
goats.
for the heathens to ease into the new faith. To a lot of them, it didn't really matter if they were praising Saturn, celebrating the winter solstice, or honoring the birth of some dude with wine flowing through his veins. As long as they could spend the occasion making merry with friends and maxing out on good food, they were content. That's exactly how we ended up with Christmas being celebrated in December, despite Jesus most likely being born in the spring. The reason I'm explaining all this is because, big surprise, the leading theory about the creation of Valentine's Day basically follows the same track. The problem this time around is there's almost no evidence to support it. Don't get me wrong, the Christians do have a proven track record with this sort of thing, but you have to consider that with Christmas, we have physical Viking sagas written centuries ago that contain details about how Viking kings like Hakon carefully integrated pagan celebrations such as Yule into his new Christian belief system.
That's why I'm contributing a little bit more to see what he's saying is this is what people are believing. People were believing that this is how they kind of got the holiday in general, but he's saying that's just thoughts of what scholars are believing, but there's not necessarily much evidence for it. But, again, I think it makes sense. Because I think if we deduce from what we know about religions like Christianity back then and how people were converted, even sometimes violently in some areas, I think that would be a good way to kind of ease them into it.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I'm still stuck on the thing with Vikings and Christmas. I didn't know anything about that.
Because like there's some one of the biggest reasons we know Christmas is what it used to be is because there are cultures like Vikings who used to practice it in certain in their own way.
Yeah.
So like Christmas has a ton of different origins. Like Christmas comes from so many different cultures and areas and regions and things like that, and they all celebrated a certain type of what we might see as Christmas in their own way. And a lot of those things culminated to some of what we know about Christmas today. So
that's weird.
Yeah, a lot of holidays have so many different origins and so many different practices and so many different cultures. It's really something. Yeah.
Not only that, but after that transition occurred, Christmas resembled Yuletide more than it did its original form. There was now feasting, drinking, socializing, and gift-giving instead of the much less enjoyable Christian activities of fasting and praying. But when it comes to Lupercalia, St. Valentine's Day didn't take on any of those practices, which really shouldn't shock you after hearing what the festivities entailed. So, if the ritual parts of the holidays have nothing to do with each other, why do people think they're connected? Well, to start, there's the fact that early Christianity did do the exact thing it's being accused of here, appropriating cultural customs for its own gain, multiple times to multiple kinds of people. And while we haven't been able to pin down the specific year the final Lupercalia celebration took place, we know the party ended around the 5th century of the current era, roughly around the same time that Pope Gelasius I announced that St. Valentine's Day would be on February 14th, the day before Lupercalia. To make it even more suspect, Gelasius was very well known for his hatred of Lupercalia and pagans. He may have even hated them more than Anakin hated sand.
I don't like sand.
People.
That's fair.
Sand people.
I hate them.
That is pretty much all the evidence this theory has, though. There are no letters, journal entries, hidden scrolls, nothing to indicate that Gelasius' placement of St. Valentine's Day so close to Lupercalia was a strategic move meant to phase out the pagan holiday. Now,
I also want to say something about theories, because I think a lot of times people get theories and hypothesis mixed up. Because the scientific process is you make an observation, then you have an hypothesis, then you study that hypothesis, and then once you study that hypothesis, it gets peer reviewed and it gets studied some more to make sure that you know what you're talking about, and then it makes it to a theory. The theory is the last, most concrete part of the scientific method. A theory is not just a guess. A theory is a proven method. So when people say, oh, that's just a theory, it's like, yeah, that's the best part of the scientific process.
I
That's
think
where it gets to a theory.
I think because when you think theory, I think people are always like, oh, that's just what is said or what is what they found out so far, not the actual answer.
Right.
So,
But with that being said, also, science, here's the thing about science. Science is supposed to be wrong in a lot of ways because that's how we learn. So if you have a scientific method, if you've taken the scientific method and you've gotten to a theory, what happens is someone goes, oh, actually, here's the right thing to do, or here's what's wrong with this, here's what's wrong with this. They do the whole method over again and they come up with their own theory. And then we go, oh, now we have more of an understanding. Because science is not supposed to give you the answer, it's supposed to give you the closest thing possible we can get to an answer. And we're supposed to build off of that. So what we knew about dinosaurs before has been on top. There's on top of that. Then there's on top of that. There's more on top of that. There's more on top of that. We used to think dinosaurs were just like fumbling, bumbling lizards who used to walk on 2 feet straight upright.
hell yeah.
Which we know now, if dinosaurs used to walk like that, their backs would be broken. They were more horizontal. They were closer to the ground. They were more like birds.
Could you imagine
they were like that?
long sucker?
Just standing straight up. If his neck was straight up, his spine would shatter.
Probably.
So we did more studies. We did more hypotheses. We did more observations. We did more things to get to a theory to where we know that this is correct or this is correct or this is correct. Now, it doesn't mean that it's correct forever and always.
No.
It just means that's what we have right now and we can build on top of it. So the theory is the best we can get until another theory happens.
So with that being said, what do we have now? It started out as slapping people with dead animals.
Slapping people with meats.
Praising or sacrificing it towards
the god Lupercus.
Mm-hmm. And now there's a guy that doesn't like Lupercus or the other person.
Right, and he is
Saint Augustine
on the
or whatever.
Yeah, he was the person who actually hated the pagans and their rituals, and he was like, okay, well, Valentine's Day, this practice is actually going to be started before the actual quote unquote Valentine's Day. So it was an appropriation to have the holiday actually before the day it was actually supposed to be on because of his spite for the pagans. So, and this is what he's saying is the theory that we currently have is just not a lot of historical records that support that, which makes sense because that happens.
Yeah. Well, I think that, and it's not something that people are really looking into.
Yeah.
It's a holiday.
Exactly. And a lot of people don't necessarily want to know that when they get their girlfriend chocolates and a bear, what people really were doing were slapping meats.
Slapping meats. Big, meaty man.
What men should actually go do is get a goat, slaughter it, and slap your girlfriend with the meat of the goat. And dab some blood on your head at first and laugh hysterically.
With a sword.
With a sword. Go, ha ha.
What the hell?
Go that exactly. Go.
I think if I heard that in the middle of the night, I'd probably shit myself.
It won't be in the middle of the night. It'll be on Valentine's Day. And you'll do it to Kayla. Dip some blood, get a goat, slaughter the goat, get a sword or a knife even. Would have to be specific. There's something sharp. Get a butter knife even. Dip it in the blood, tap your head and look at her and go, and she'll fall in love forever.
But test this theory.
Test that hypothesis.
And if test that hypothesis. And if I get kicked out, I'm coming straight here.
That's fine.
And I'm kicking your ass. You son of a bitch.
I'll be like, what? It worked for me?
I'm going to ask those ladies.
Right.
I'm going to ask them. How'd that work? Well, Derek did that one day. How'd that work for you?
Yeah, that's how I have the partners I have now.
I don't know. I don't stay with him. I don't know. I dumped him that day.
I made sure I dated all of my partners on Valentine's Day so I could test it and I can go, and that's how I have all these loves.
Oh, I can't wait to hear about this. I'm going to see you next weekend. It's going to be like, hey, Kyle.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, Derek. How'd your Valentine's Day go? Well, I laughed hysterically with blood on my forehead.
Yeah.
Yeah, what happened? None of them will talk to me anymore.
They want me to get committed.
Like, so what's happening?
I'm going to a insane asylum.
Yeah, I'm going to Bellevue.
Yeah. I have an appointment even.
Yeah. I don't know if we can do this podcast anymore.
They told me I'm a danger to others and myself.
Yes.
Now, it's totally possible that written evidence did exist at one point and has just been lost to the sands of time. After all, it's been about 1,600 years. But that, combined with the holidays having nothing to do with each other ritualistically, is reason enough for me to not bet all my chips on this one.
Saint Valentine, here we go.
So if Valentine's Day wasn't created to replace Lupercalia, that means it really was to honor Saint Valentine. Who the hell is that? Well, you're gonna hate this, but
who the hell
we
is
don't
that?
know for sure. Because as I mentioned, record keeping back then was not the greatest, and there were a ton of Christian martyrs named Valentinus whose stories were likely exaggerated. The earliest one that we found was killed in Africa along with 24 soldiers. We don't know virtually anything about him or how he died, but if I were to guess, he was probably there to convert people who didn't want to be converted. Another candidate is a Roman priest named Valentinus, whose story was printed in the Acta. Granted, the Act has been criticized by scholars about its historical value, but it tells us that Valentinus was arrested during the reign of Emperor Gothicus and put into the custody of an aristocrat named Asterius. Supposedly Asterius made a big mistake in letting Valentinus talk and was ultimately coerced to give Christianity a shot, but only if the priest could cure his daughter's blindness. Well, guess what? That's exactly what he did. He put his hand over the blind girl's eyes, said some words about Jesus, and boom, she was cured. So Asterius' family agreed to be baptized. It didn't take long for Emperor Gothicus to find out about this betrayal though, and when he did, he had the whole family executed, with Valentinus specifically getting beheaded. So Pope Gelasius created the holiday on the suspected day of his death, February 14th, in honor of his sacrifice.
So here's another rewriting. So we have a history of someone else who started the day beforehand. Now we have so this is what happens a lot of times when it comes to practices and rituals in general. So you have someone who starts a holiday or a ritual of some sort, that culture either dies out or evolves. You have a new level of people who celebrate something they celebrated beforehand, just not quite the same because a lot of that was either unknown or wasn't written down.
Yeah.
Then you have another culture that comes after that who says, okay, well, this is what it's supposed to be, and I don't like these people, so I'm actually going to do it on the day before, and I'm going to change the whole situation completely in the whole thing. And then some more history happens to where it's like, that whole practice is completely either wiped out or just doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
So this is like a history of before we like till we get to like this point of what Valentine's Day is. This is a history of the entire practice evolved or within Valentine's Day itself.
Now, this guy supposedly the day of his death was February 14th.
Yeah.
And his sacrifice was what exactly?
What do you mean?
Why did he die? What did he get killed for?
Oh, he got killed because he found out about the betrayal of the whole guy curing the blind woman.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
And his name was like Saint Valentine, and he got beheaded along with like his entire family, basically.
So nothing about him being a loving person or anything like that.
Nah, but again, Saint Valentine's Day, and it gets like it turns into something completely different.
Well, you know what it seems like so far is it's like what's that game Telephone?
Telephone, yeah,
That's what it's doing.
It's basically cultural telephone.
It's cultural telephone, exactly. It's
The third
funny.
and final candidate for the true namesake of Valentine's Day was another priest named Valentinus, whose story is almost identical to the previous one. Only instead of healing his captor's daughter, it was his son. And instead of taking place in Rome, it happened in Terni, a city in central Italy. Chances are, though, this Valentinus was actually the same as the last one, and each city just had their own version of his story.
Telephone.
We don't even know for sure if any of these Valentinus characters actually existed in real life. Pope Gelasius obviously had someone in mind when he established the holiday, but due to the church's poor record keeping back in the 5th century, we'll never know for sure who the man being honored was or what he did to deserve it. What we can say for certain, though, is that whichever Valentinus it was, his holiday being a romantic one has nothing to do with him. You may have heard that our hero was honored for risking his life to conduct Christian marriage rituals, or that Valentine's Day cards originated from him passing notes between Christian lovers jailed by Emperor Gothicus, but those are completely unsubstantiated claims that have no basis in history. Like a lot of the folklore theories we deal with on this channel, these claims just happened to find their way online and were circulated by journalists who were desperate for something topical to write about and didn't have the time to pursue every single lead to its origin point. No, believe it or not, but the romance element of Valentine's Day didn't come from the man himself, but instead is believed to have been introduced a full 1,000 years after
this was
the
what I
holiday
want
was
to know.
established.
This is it right here.
So this is
Romance
and the romantic history, I guess.
Get your better white voice.
You gotta get your bear. Oh, I'm gonna use my capitalist voice.
Oh, yeah.
We're gonna talk about romance. We're gonna get some romance on Amazon. You wanna get some romance on Amazon? You wanna get into Walmart? You wanna get in Target? What you wanna do?
I want to get the candies.
Let's get the candies. You wanna get the candies?
I want a chocolate.
Oh my god.
And get some flowers.
Oh my god.
Oh, and then we'll get some fancy jewelry.
Oh my god.
And it'll make everybody happy.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah.
If you're looking to blame somebody for you spending every Valentine's Day alone and miserable while your friends, classmates, and coworkers are treated to dinner dates, flowers, and cans of crush, look no further than Geoffrey Chaucer. Because before his poem Parliament of Fowls was published in 1382, there's no indication that the holiday had anything to do with romance, but this guy just had to go and notice that birds tend to do their mating around February 14th every year. For this was on St. Valentine's Day, when every fowl comes there his mate to take. Of every species that men know, I say, and then so huge a crowd did they make, that earth and sea and tree and every lake was so full that there was scarcely space for me to stand, so full was all the place.
And once again, birds have given us
God dang it.
have given us life. Birds are the freaking source of everything.
Yeah, your whole thing with birds, it's ridiculous.
Hey man, there's so many holidays and
Their
histories
damn
and
historical significance
Yes.
is pissing me off. Fucking birds.
we have to look to the sky
Oh,
to
God.
understand where we're going
We
as
must-
a human species.
We must honor the birds.
We must honor the birds. They stayed here. It's the second door. They stayed here when everything else died off, and they're gonna be here after we're all gone again.
Fucking birds.
After this poem began circulating, nature-minded European nobility started sending love notes during bird mating season. Still, though, the traditions that we've grown accustomed to, like gift exchanging, romantic dinners, and kinky bedroom activities like strip duel monsters, weren't widespread among the common folk. Yeah. I think that layman people back then were more focused on making sure their family had food and shelter, while the idea of dedicating an entire day to romance was a luxury that most couldn't afford.
We gotta get those cards.
Strip duel monsters.
We gotta get strip duel monsters. We're investing. We're gonna invest in those cards. Strip duel monsters, baby.
I can't even say it.
Strip duel monsters, baby. It's time to duel.
We gotta get some strip duel monsters.
We're gonna get some strip monsters cards. We're gonna put them in every Target, every Walmart, every Kmart. Yeah. You want to get it?
Oh, why did it turn into Randy Savage? Oh, yeah.
The next published reference to Valentine's Day occurs a few centuries later in Shakespeare's Hamlet, published in the 1600s. In Scene 5 of Act 4, Hamlet's potential wife Ophelia sings a song. Tomorrow is St. Valentine's Day. All in the morning, bedtime.
I was hoping
and
he was
I am
going to
made
sing
at
it
your
for
window
us.
to be your Valentine. Then up he rose and donned his clothes and duped the chamber door, let in the maid that out a maid never departed more. Rough translation, when the girl showed up at the guy's window, he invited her inside, and they did what lovers do. Played strip duel monsters. According to Jacqueline Simpson from the Folklore Society, this song stems from a commonly held belief back then that the first woman a man sees on the morning of Valentine's Day is his true love. This belief is then substantiated in the diary of Samuel.
The women that some of those guys would get.
Oh man,
could you imagine? Like think if we did that these days. Mm-hmm. I'd be walking around blind until I absolutely knew for sure. And then you got guys that think it's funny, and they'd be like, yeah, get this on TikTok.
Right, yeah.
Hey, man, open your eyes. This girl's beautiful. Oh, man, you've been my friend for 13 years. Thank you so much. I'm so glad you found my wife to spend the rest of my life with. I'm just going to see her and... what the hell is that? Some people, I swear. Just imagine these practices these days. I'm telling you, it would be a TikTok thing.
Honestly, the world would be better for it.
You think so? Oh, damn!
I'm messing with you. No, it would be. Wow,
I think divorce rates would be even higher.
Probably.
I think so. Honestly.
Yeah, because they're over 50% now.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
That's why a lot of people just aren't even really doing it. They're just saying, okay, well, I'm married to you, just not on paper.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And what's crazy is, I've touched on this before. I don't know what the episode was, but there's always a radio station that ends up saying, give us your craziest story, like love story, or the biggest reason why you want to divorce that person, and we'll pay for it for you.
Wow.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's always going to be a market for just stories like that in general. And there's always going to be kind of like that whole, I remember too, even growing up, there was like Smiley in the Morning. And what they would do is on Valentine's Day or right before Valentine's Day, they would have people call in and talk about like your craziest like breakup story or your craziest date you've ever been on, or like am I the asshole for fill in the blank, and it'll be like relationship related. Yeah. So stuff like that. So yeah,
it's like you've said, it is very consumer based related topics. Mm-hmm. And I mean, shoot, even the one that I said, hey, we're gonna so many people could call in for a free divorce, like, whatever it is, $10,000 to file for divorce or whatever. Yeah. I mean, the radio station's going to pay for it. Why not even try?
Exactly.
Exactly. And then people start looking in. Well, how much does it cost to do that? Mm-hmm. It's all money all the way.
Oh yeah, it's almost an astronomical price to get divorced. Like, I think that's why some people will just like separate, but they won't actually even go to the courts and go through that system because it's so expensive.
Oh yeah,
it's expensive just to divorce.
Yeah, and I think they still won't even change the last name or anything.
Yeah.
They'll say,
be
"Oh,
that.
I go by this."
Mhm.
Oh, on your driver's
Because
license,
then you have
you're
to
still
put
married.
Yeah, and because then you have to put money on that too, of just changing your name.
Yeah.
Because again, it goes through divorce. So it's like, it's a process. It's a process, man. It's ugh.
Pepys, a high-ranking official in England's Navy who lived throughout the 17th century. He discusses practices like feasting, flirting with your Valentine, giving gifts of embroidered gloves or silk stockings to your lady, and he even mentions that on Valentine's morning, his wife walked around the house with her hands over her eyes to avoid seeing the workmen who were there and risk one of them becoming her true love. People were so dumb back then, weren't they? And I mean that in the most endearing way possible.
I don't. They're not alive.
Merchandising. Here we go. We're about to get into capitalism, baby. Merchandising.
Here it
To
is.
ease into mainstream culture by the 1600s, as is evidenced by Shakespeare and Samuel Pepys, and it didn't take long for opportunists to start using this holiday to make money, and the Industrial Revolution played a key role in that. Because up until the mid-1800s, it was still common for Valentine letters to be handmade, but thanks to technology allowing them to be mass-produced, pre-made cards were much easier for the everyman to get a hold of and decorated much more elaborately than was possible by hand. That accessibility did cause some trouble though. People would often use the occasion to send anonymous Valentine cards containing nasty insults and offensive imagery to their enemies. In fact, by the 1890s, the tradition of giving Valentine cards had almost completely died out over in England, and it's theorized that this behavior is the reason. Over in America though, cards were still as popular as ever. They originally made their way over here in 1847, the holiday itself was being celebrated nationwide before the 1950s, and by 1913, only 2 decades after they had died out across the pond, the world-famous Hallmark began mass-producing Valentines in Kansas City, Missouri. Now, the commercial component did take a dip in popularity during World War II, but the story goes that after the war was over, mass production of Valentine's Day goodies was put into overdrive.
That makes sense. That's how you got the baby boom after the war.
Oh, yeah.
And like soldiers coming back, and they get busy, and then they get even more busy because like come Valentine's Day, it's like, ooh, now I get candy, cards. I'm back from the war.
Yeah.
I got my baby with me. Everything's good. And then it's time to make another child. It's time to make another child. It's time to have twins. It's time to have twins, and we can put those twins that work at the Target, the Kmart, and the Walmart. We're gonna get some merchandising off of them. We're gonna get them at Amazon. Put that baby on Amazon.
You know what I'm stuck on though with this thing?
What's that?
Is the readily available cards. Mm-hmm. I love that idea of sending them to your enemies, because the first thing that came into my head was
Dick pic.
roses are red, violets are blue. But there's one thing, Joe. Fuck you! Thanks for letting your dog shit on my yard or something like that. You know, to your mortal enemy.
Can you imagine just writing that out? It's just a handwritten rant that you took time to stamp and mail.
Yeah.
You got the card, wrote it out, stamped it, and mailed it. And that you were angry that entire time.
I would love to be like the guy that's doing this, like to my neighbor or something like that. Which I still don't know who my neighbors are, but you know, if I had beef with my neighbors way back then, you know, in the whatever era we're in, and be like, okay, here's the son. Hey, little buddy, give this to your dad and tell him Happy Valentine's Day. Oh, okay, yeah. And little Timmy comes in. He's like,
Timmy. It's always
hey,
little
Dad.
Timmy. Yeah.
Happy Valentine's Day. And he's like, oh, Timmy, you got me a card. That's so sweet. Yeah, read it. Guess what it says? And then you get in there and it's the poem. And then he's like, what? This is from Mark? What the hell, Mark?
This is from Mark.
And then he goes outside and he goes, hey, fuck you, Mark. And Mark turns around and goes, fuck you, Joe.
Right. And you
a duel at high noon or something
You're
like
right.
that.
He takes his glove and he slaps you across the face.
Yeah. I challenge you to a duel.
10 paces.
10 paces. Little be known, every pace I'm walking right behind you,
Right.
and you get turned around and BAM!
Consequences.
Sending cards was once again popular over in the UK, and from there on, the tradition continued to grow, evolve, and make its way into other cultures who've created traditions of their own. That'd be pretty fascinating to talk about too, but I think I've kept you here long enough. Now I want to know, what are your thoughts on the origins of Valentine's Day? How does it feel to learn that it has nothing to do with Lupercalia and that we really don't know who Saint Valentine even was? Let me know in a comment down below where I'll be engaging in the conversation.
That's very interesting.
But yeah, again, it's like you said, it's cultural telephone.
It really is.
Yeah.
I mean, first we thought it was, which I didn't even know who Lupercalia was. Honestly, I didn't even know there was a Saint Valentine.
There were many.
Yeah, and we don't know who
The Saint Valentine was, if there even was one.
Which one, or like he said, the earliest one that we knew was in Africa and ended up dying out there, trying to
Possibly convert people
to, this religion or whatever. I mean, in none of that did it ever say, well, I guess towards the very end, like in the, what do you say, 1800s, 1900s or whatever, that it turned into a market.
Yeah.
Where you started buying things for people and, this and that, and even at a point where there was, hey, let me cover my eyes so that once I meet the man of my dreams, I'll look at him in the morning.
Yeah. And it's like I only want to fall in love with that man. Yeah. Yeah. Because if I look at anybody else, there's a possibility I could fall in love with them.
I just think dude, I'm telling you, the match, that's like early days Tinder. Like matchmaking back then. It's like,
you don't swipe left, you just don't even look at them.
You look down and you look at their feet or something you're like, nope. Nope.
If we're judging by feet, you're going to be in trouble.
I mean, do you imagine some of the matches? Like, think of like a princess, and she's like, oh, I'm going to see the first guy, my one true love. And she ends up getting like this nasty, rotten, like Boston mechanic, that's just the grease monkey.
Right.
And he's like, smoking this little tiny cigar, and he's like,
yeah, with some chaw on it.
Me and you are gonna be something great. She's like, oh, my true love. Just the mismatches back then. You're like, wait, that's what she does, and that's what he does.
That's right.
I guess they're married.
Yep.
So
feels good.
It
sounds good to me. I think we should go back to it.
Oh God. I think we should just go back to slapping people with animals.
Slapping people with meats. Big meaty men slapping meats.
Big meaty men.
But I think it's just that funny thing of like, I think what happened was after all of these cultures have passed on Valentine's Day, obviously not Valentine's Day, but they had like their rituals of what they did. Then jump to another culture, had rituals. Another culture had rituals. Then it seemed like after a little bit, actually kind of died out.
Yeah.
And then I think what happened was a culture came into where, oh, there's writings about this, or there's a celebration that is being held over here. Maybe we could do something like that. And then it slowly seeps into like mainstream culture to where it's now a thing. And now it's like, ooh, people making cards.
Yeah.
We can mass produce these cards.
Yeah.
If we mass produce these cards, we get money for making those cards.
And not only that, but he said that the journalists were the ones that it seemed like they needed something to write about.
Yeah, kind of perpetuated it a little bit.
And somebody wrote about it, and let's say the New York Times was the biggest newspaper out there.
Freaking, they did it again.
Early
Fake
days.
news.
Yeah. Early days of the New York Times, and they were like, oh, that's what we do during Valentine's Day. We have to buy certain things, or like you said, the baby boom and all that. Oh, they just came back. Let's glamorize this holiday
Let's
and
get some more
say, hey,
cash pumping into the economy
exactly. Once you guys come back, that's the new holiday.
Yeah.
Hey, you got to start buying stuff on that holiday for your partner.
Absolutely.
You just came back. Show them you appreciate them on that day.
Mm-hmm.
And cultural telephone too.
Cultural telephone. And then what happens? You get like, people, teddy bears and flowers and chocolates, and it keeps building on itself.
And it's funny because it's all the things that like they don't last.
Yeah.
Like Kayla, she's always been like, do not buy me flowers ever. They don't last.
Yeah.
Now I know they've got those fake ones that you can get, and you're like, this will last as long as I'll love you, blah, blah, blah. That bullshit. Ooh. But, I mean, flowers go bad, chocolates go bad, teddy bears
or get eaten,
get dirty, or people don't care about them after a while. I mean, it's all buy it here and now, make me look good for a month, and then they forget about it.
Yeah. Yep.
That's all it is now.
Mm-hmm. Thanks for listening to another episode of the Itchy Sweater Podcast. Remember to like, share, subscribe, rate, follow. Don't do any of that to John Solo.
Yeah,
Make sure you do
no.
all of that to us.
Not John Solo. If anything, go to the only other person we'll mention in this podcast.
Who is it, Kyle?
Dead air.
Who is it?
Dead air.
Who is it, Kyle?
Dead air. Who's
Kyle,
our
tell
drink?
me. Oh, Liquid Death?
Liquid Death. Okay,
How
how
could you forget our fake sponsor?
Future Derek, let me try this again so you can cut all that shit out.
I'm keeping it in.
If you're going to follow anybody, don't follow John Solo.
Yeah.
Follow Liquid Death.
Follow Liquid Death.
Follow the Itchy Sweater.
Tell him to sponsor us.
And podcast.
I just wanted to give a random hand clap. Podcast?
Podcaster.